We got major heat, brother, between the EVPs over at AEW. At least that's what the internet will have you think. We've been hearing this for several weeks now, been backed up by little evidence, but heavy speculation. Well, in the AEW Double or Nothing press conference this week, Cody Rhodes was asked flat out by Sean Ross Sapp. And props to Sean Ross Sapp, by the way. He's one of my favorite wrestling journalists in the business. He's got his finger on the pulse of things. I think he gets the scoops more often than not. We got a whole conference call full of people just asking silly questions that are just kind of pandering to the pay-per-view and, tell me how it feels to be so successful in your first 2 years as EVP of AEW and all of your growth. We get that kind of stuff. But it was SRS who jumped in and was like, hey, what's up with all the beef talk? Cody Rhodes addressed the incident. Take a listen to this clip right here.
So we've heard some rumors, unsubstantiated so far, that you and other EVPs might not be on speaking terms. The Young Bucks made light of it on their bio, which you also retweeted. Is there anything you can lend to that? Is there anything that you can provide? I mean, is it true? What did you think when you heard that out there? Is there anything you can add to that?
Well, when I heard that story was floating around, it is one of the things I chalked up as we've been very successful, AEW, and with NXT using the Wednesday Night Wars, that created a lot of anger. And I understand that there's a lot of hardcore NXT and WWE fans out there, and that's why those stories like that don't surprise me. I think people need to cling to something, and as sexy as that story is, I talk to Matt and Nick every day. I talk to Kenny very often. I support their projects fully. They've been supportive of all my projects, and we would not be able to put this show on the air. Tony's the man and Tony's the boss, but we would not be able to put this show on the air if the four of us were not functioning as one team. So we really, unfortunately, it's not very sexy to say, but there's no truth to that. Again,
I find friendship very sexy.
Now with us expanding onto TBS, we will remain one team.
No beefs, no heats, no warmth, according to Cody Rhodes. I think this is probably one of those things that was blown way out of proportion, but it's also one of those where there's smoke, there's fire kind of thing. Now, when rumors like this get out, it's probably because somebody backstage is telling people this. So there had to have been at least one, probably more people backstage going, hey, I don't really see Cody and the Bucks hanging out all that much anymore or talking all that much. I think there's a little bit of heat there. That mixed with Cody's not on BTE anymore either. He has not appeared on BTE in many, many months. He hasn't stopped doing the web videos, though. He's actually over on Sammy's vlog and doing all of his skits over there. So that's a little bit of smoke, too. But you got to kind of take it at face value. No, he's not going to come right out and be like, yeah, those guys have been kind of dicks lately, or yeah, I've been kind of a bitch lately, or yeah, we're not really seeing eye to eye on things right now, and there's dissension amongst the ranks. No, he's going to come out and say publicly that we're doing good, we're a team, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, he's right that they're not going to be able to function as a company if there's that kind of dissension where they're not even talking to each other. So they don't have to like each other all the time or agree with each other on everything all the time. But as long as they can still work together behind the scenes and get things done, that's all we really need. Cody Rhodes has said little things, even in this little conference call here, about, the Young Bucks are exciting for me to see as they bring a whole new style that I did not come up on, and kind of a nice way of saying that it's not really my thing, the thing that they do, but hey, I support it, and he might very well support it. I think, in general, the issue probably is because if I had to just throw a shot in the dark here, I would say is that the Bucks and Omega love the indie-rific style, the flips, the flops, the dives, the less selling, more action, the newer way of working. And the Young Bucks, I think, are the epitome of that. And it's not a bad... I'm not a Jim Cornette where I'm going to shit on it and be like, oh, that's not wrestling. Wrestling's wrestling. Anything that happens in a ring is wrestling. You know, the cruiserweights showed me that at a very young age. There was Hulk Hogan versus Roddy Piper and that kind of shit. And then there was Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero. And I saw right away, okay, you can wrestle like this or you can wrestle like that. So I learned these different styles. And then you see like a Bret Hart. He taught me that as well, even younger. Being more technical while the other guys are power slamming and clotheslining and punching brother and all that shit. Bret Hart's out there doing fucking backbreakers and fucking Russian leg sweeps and working the leg. And I picked up on all that. So wrestling can be many different things. I think if there's any kind of dissension there, it's simply that they don't really see the business the same way. You know, Cody's much more of a traditionalist and the Bucks are much more of an indie-rific, and that's fine. They're both fine. As long as they can put on a show at the end of the day, and as long as the Bucks don't really move in and say, Cody, you can't really do that kind of match. We want all of our matches to be indie-rific, and Cody doesn't encroach on all the flip-flop and flyers and say, hey, you got to be more traditional. Let everybody do their thing because everybody's into a different kind of wrestling. So until we hear more or till something happens, I'm going to say that it's a whole lot to do about nothing, but there's probably a little bit of something there, just not enough to end the company or see people get fired or quit or leave or anything like that. I think that's a little bit blown out of proportion, but we shall see, won't we? Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.